Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Tekwasa Dumelang Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening in the SADC region and beyond. Today is Monday, the 15th of November. We don't have Blue Mondays yet.
No, we don't.
We don't
roll like that. Happy Monday, everyone. Today is Clean Your Refrigerator Day. Although it has been rumored that Clean Your Refrigerator Day was started by Whirlpool Corporation, the origin of this event is still lost in the mist of time. The day is a great reminder, though, that to function effectively, our kitchen appliances should be cleaned out once in a while. And here is more on Clean Your Refrigerator Day. Welcome back. In our top stories this morning, UN climate agreement clinched after late drama over coal. UN climate talks ended Saturday with a deal that for the first time targeted fossil fuels as a key driver of global warming, even as coal-reliant countries lobbed last-minute objections. While the agreement won applause for keeping alive the hope of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius, many of the nearly 200 national delegations wished they would come away with more. The two-week conference in Scotland delivered a major win in resolving the rules around carbon markets, but it did little to assuage vulnerable countries' concerns about long-promised climate financing from rich nations. There was last-minute drama as India, backed by China and other coal-dependent developing nations, rejected a clause calling for the phase-out of coal-fired power. After the hurdle between the envoys from China, India, and the United States and the European Union, the clause was hurriedly amended to ask countries to phase down their coal use. The single word change was met with dismay by both rich countries in Europe and small island nations, along with others still developing. The approved texts are a compromise, the UN said. Secretary Antonio Guterres. They reflect the interests, the conditions, and the contradictions and the states of the political will in the world today.
Sudan, 5 more killed in anti-coup protests. Sudanese security forces killed at least 5 demonstrators on Saturday in a crackdown on anti-coup protests after the military tightened its grip by forming a new ruling council. The pro-democracy protests come nearly 3 weeks after top General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan ousted the government, detained the civilian leadership, and declared a state of emergency. The Independent Central Committee for Sudanese Doctors said 3 of the deceased were killed in East Khartoum and 2 in Khartoum's twin city of Omdurman. The latest deaths bring to 20 the number of people killed in anti-coup protests since the military takeover on 25 October, according to the medics. State television reported that 39 police personnel were severely wounded in clashes with protesters. The police accused protesters of attacking police stations, saying the demonstrations began as peaceful but quickly veered off course.
Joint Mozambican and Rwandan forces killed 9 terrorists. 9 terrorists were shot dead by joint Rwandan and Mozambican troops in Tuleni village, Olumbi administrative post, Palma district in the North Cabo Delgado province last Sunday. According to Carta sources, the group was surprised by Mozambican and Rwandan troops after attacking the village. During the attack, sources say the terrorists killed 1 person and stole dry cassava before burning down huts. Carta source also reported that the insurgents last Tuesday attacked the 5 Degrees Congreso village in Makomia district, where they killed one person and stole goods, also kidnapping some women before releasing them sometime later. Despite the intensification of combat action by Rwandan, Mozambican and SADC forces, terrorists continue to sow mourning and terror in the districts of Palma, Makomia, Kisinga, Mude, and Nagade. The terrorists have made a number of attempts to recover areas that are now under the control of Mozambican, Rwandan, and regional troops, but without success.
COVID-19 deaths across the African continent exceed the 220,000 mark. As of November 11, 2021, confirmed cases of COVID-19 from 55 African countries reached 8,544,078, while over 125,503,345 vaccinations have been administered across the continent. Reported deaths in Africa reached 220,049. And 7,911,323 people have recovered. South Africa has the most reported cases, with 2,924,622, and 89,435 people have died. Other most affected countries are Morocco, Tunisia, Ethiopia, Libya, Egypt, and Kenya. The numbers are compiled by the Center for Systems Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University, using statistics from the World Health Organization and other international institutions, as well as national and regional public health departments.
Delhi shut schools as a pollution emergency looms. Authorities in New Delhi announced on Saturday a one-week closure of schools as the Indian capital's pollution control body warned of a looming health emergency due to smog. Starting Monday, schools are being shut so that children don't have to breathe polluted air. Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal told reporters in the megacity of 20 million people. Delhi is ranked one of the world's most populated cities, with hazardous malign of factory and vehicle emission and smoke from agricultural fires turning its air into a toxic gray every winter. On Saturday, levels of PM 2.5 particles, the smallest and most harmful, which can enter the bloodstream, topped 300 on the air quality index. That is 20 times the maximum daily limit recommended by the World Health Organization. Delhi's government has been vowing for years to clean up the city's air. In 2020, reports by Swiss organization IQA found that 22 of the world's 30 most populated cities were India, with Delhi ranked the most populated capital globally.
All right, at least 34 people remain missing after a boat capsized on Lake Kivu in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Thursday. As at Friday, volunteers and relatives were still searching for missing dozens, and others were feared dead in the lake. Locals say 15 bodies have been recovered since Thursday. Father of 9, Alexis Simba, lost his wife and children. Here I am in pain and I have a great sadness because it is not easy to lose a wife. I had 9 children. The head of Munanira village, where several of the victims lived, said that it's necessary for the government to build ports so that navigation on the river can be regulated to avoid more tragedies. About 60 people were rescued alive. The majority of the population use the rivers and lakes because of a lack of good roads, and it is less expensive a form of transport. Lake Kivu, located in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on the border with Rwanda, has a maximum depth of 475 meters.
Senegal, a Great Green Wall project likely to miss its 2030 deadline. The Great Green Wall, that was once envisioned as a way for Africa to fight climate change, has stalled. The idea behind the project was to plant 5,000 miles line of trees that would span the entire continent and hold back the Sahara Desert. Today, we have more than 764,000 trees, either in orchards or in the dunes. So this is the project that of what we call an integrated restoration program, so we integrate with the agriculture. Any project has to start from the communities if you want it to be sustainable, and that is what we call community ownership. These are the two elements that guarantee the sustainability of projects. If you do a top-down project where you don't involve the communities, you go away and the project falls apart. Diange Diai, member of SOS Sahel Group, said, more than a decade since the Great Green Wall project began its ends in 2007, only 4% of the original pledge goal has been met, and it's estimated that 43 billion would be needed to reach the original 2030 target, which is likely to happen amid the global economic downturn brought by the pandemic.
Now in Namibia, ministry cancels uranium exploration. The Agriculture Ministry has cancelled the Headspring Investments uranium exploration permit. The company is currently engaged in uranium exploration at Leonardville, but due to the cancellation, no further drilling may be done. The subsidiary of the Russian Nuclear Power Corporation, Rosatom, does not meet the conditions under which permits 11561 and 11562 were issued, the ministry said in a letter to the company's senior administrator, Aldo Hengari. Concern has been rife for weeks among farmers and residents of towns in the Kalahari after it was revealed how Headspring went about extracting uranium. According to geologist Dr. Roy Miller, the amount of uranium that ends up in this water will far exceed the World Health Organization's safety limit. This could have serious consequences for the health of the people and animals that depend on these aquifers for survival, he said earlier in submissions to stakeholders.
Free education in DRC has government capitulated. While the salary situation for teachers is being negotiated, the government effervescence over its desire to keep primary school free seems to have subsided. In Kinshasa, some establishments already set the price of school fees for parents. Since the start of the negotiations at the end of October, the government has recently been sending few reassuring signals about its desire to keep a basic education free. However, at the level of Kinshasa provincial government, the town hall has set the price for school fees for public schools with a range from $150 to $300. In reaction, the minister speaks of operating cost for kindergartens and secondary school, not primary schools. However, many parents with children in primary school receive school fees payment messages for their children. On the parent side, some have the impression that the government has capitulated in its fight to perpetuate free basic education in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Now in Eswatini, protesting nurses hijack minister's event. After petitioning government without receiving any responses, nurses at the Mbambane Government Hospital hijacked the Minister of Health, Liz Nkosi's mission to commission a neonatal intensive care unit to raise their concerns. To make their presence felt, the nurses assembled next to the new wing, where they sang struggle songs just as the minister's event to deliver speeches began. Nkosi and her delegates, who included the British High Commissioner Simon Bowden and the UNICEF representative Amina Mohammed, started at the neonatal intensive care unit, where they observed the donated equipment worth 6 million emaloti. Addressing the minister, the unit committee vice secretary Lindiwe Zwane said after unsuccessfully petitioning the ministry, they decided to seize the opportunity as they heard that the minister would be visiting the hospital. Nkosi reminded the nurses that there were procedures which had to be followed when sending grievances, and not the manner in which they had handled the issue to hijack her event.
Southern Africa probes power outage that affected 4 countries. Power companies in Southern Africa are investigating the cause of an unprecedented system disruption that affected 4 countries. Zambia suffered a nationwide blackout on the 6th of November, while neighboring Zimbabwe reported on the 8th of November that a technical fault at one of its main power plants had curbed supply. The disturbance also resulted in a loss of connection between South Africa and Mozambique's Cahora Bassa hydropower plant, said Stefan Dihwa, Executive Director for the Southern African Power Pool. There was a system disturbance which occurred over the weekend, and this was unprecedented, Dihwa said by phone on Tuesday. This is something which has never happened in the region before and are still investigating to know where it originated from. The SAP people is a 12-member organization formed by energy utilities in Southern Africa that operate a common power grid and market for electricity.
In the last of our top stories, elephant census Khaza, Botswana's big task. One of the world's largest conservation areas, the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, is preparing for its first ever aerial elephant census to determine the number of these pachyderms across the southern African plains. Khaza's estimated 220,000 elephants have attracted global attention. The majority of these elephants, about 130,000, reside in Botswana, with neighboring Zimbabwe home to an estimated 80,000 of the animals. The other three Khaza members, Angola, Namibia, and Zambia, are underpopulated. In particular, Angola has seen its numbers dwindle as the elephants fled from civil war and poaching. In 2019, Botswana lifted a 5-year moratorium on elephant hunting as a way to ensure local communities benefit from wildlife resources. However, the move sparked anger from conservationists who argued it could lead to a possible increase in the poaching of elephants. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. If you've been paying attention to the Namibian news cycle, you know one of the top stories has been the fish rot scandal. And the case has been going on, this bail applications happening. So we're going to get opinions from Landless People's Movement Deputy Leader Henny Sabeb after the break.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. The bail application hearing in the fish rod scandal, which took place in the High Court before Judge Shafimana Uitele, have been postponed to the 24th of January 2022. So far, former Fishco CEO Mike Ngiponya and his perceived business partners Otaniel Shudifonya and Philippus Mwapopi have completed their testimonies from the witness box. Former Justice Minister Saki Shangala and former Investec boss James Hatui Kulipi are expected to have their testimonies read in court from their affidavits. The Landless People's Movement has been one of the leading critics of the high-profile corruption case. Here is the party's deputy leader, Henry Sabeb, sharing his views on this matter.
LPM has been, as of late, been worried about the revelations at the fish rod bail hearings, notably by the ones that are accusing that have been benefiting from these resources. And the biggest catch of the week of last week is the revelation that the accused persons repeatedly kept on saying that they have given some of the illegally gained proceeds from the crime scene of the fish rod to the ruling party SWAPO, especially for their campaign in 2019 and for their Congress and so on. So that one, we knew already that there were suspicions, but the revelations by the accused persons keeps on revealing that we are indeed living in a deep state where a state resources, a minister allegedly gave orders that a quarter must be given for a purpose of a political party campaign. That is the deep level of corruption. And I think as a result of that, that the whole SWAPO regime or the government, starting from the president actually, should have their day in court so that they can tell us whether they have benefited, how much they have benefited from or not. And this also casts doubts in terms of the new things that I've witnessed, is that the revelations are so overwhelming to the extent that actually we may have to go back again and go for a rerun of elections, because our constitution is clear, the funding methods for political parties is clear. All illegally or legally gained donations should be registered and should be accounted for. But in this instance, it seems that this has not been followed if one has to judge from the statements that were given by the accused. So the other one, more especially, which was irking me and the membership of LPM, is the pronouncements by the judge, Shafimana Waitele. He seems to have taken a position that seems to put pressure on the accused persons, judging from the type of questioning methods, interrogation method that he has employed. So we are a bit worried, as a political party, we are a bit worried that perhaps maybe Judge Shafimana Waitele should seek for clarity instead of trying to coerce the accused into making particular statements or not to make particular statements, because this
Season 1 of the Hunters Chill Session is coming to a close. To celebrate, Hunters and the Namibian Sun will be having an exclusive invite-only event at Access Lounge on the 23rd of November. You can be part of this. Stand a chance to win exclusive double tickets for you and a friend to attend the Hunters Chill Finale. WhatsApp a picture of you and your friend chilling with your favorite Hunters to 084 000 9820. Hunters, refreshes like nothing on earth. Not for persons under the age of 18. T's and C's apply.
This is our happy song. Take this ring and put it on a perfect smile, a perfect fit. We can't go wrong. Hey, let's stop the world. Just a boy and girl. Today we'll start together. Today we'll stop forever. Ever, ever, oh. Ever, ever, oh. Today we'll start. What if we laughed?
Africa Good Morning is your reliable source for decentralized African news. Keeping that in mind, we're going to take a trip to Zambia and have a chat with Mr. Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Africa, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing there?
We're fantastic. Now, in your first story, Zambian truck drivers are in panic following threats by the South African government to restrict foreign drivers working in that country amidst unrest from local truck drivers. Could you please expand on this story?
Thank you. The situation has been brought to the attention of government through the Zambian embassy in South Africa, as well as the SADC Truck Drivers Association of Zambia, which is calling on the new government to urgently deal with unemployment among truck drivers in anticipation that a number of truck drivers are going to come back to Zambia following what is happening in South Africa. So they have made this call because this is a repeated incident that keeps coming almost every year, where South Africans are complaining that Zambian truck drivers are taking their jobs. So this is something that a number of truck drivers that belong to this association are appealing to the Zambian government to say, can this issue be resolved so that Zambians who may return because maybe for fear of their lives and anything that may happen to them may find something to do when they come back to Zambia. Well, the government has not responded to these concerns and worries, but we anticipate that there's going to be a bilateral talks between the Zambian government and South Africa through SADC protocols as well as other regional bodies to ensure that this issue does not disintegrate into something that can be chaotic, like we've seen in the past where some trucks have been burned, drivers beaten, others killed, unfortunately. So we hope this is something that the association is looking up to say government is going to do something as soon as possible.
All right, moving on, we understand that the police have apprehended the former defense minister in the previous administration for the offense of attempted murder, which occurred in 2015.
Yes, details of this case are that on 6th June 2015, in Mulobezi district, western of Zambia, Mr. Davis Chama and Mr. Brian Nyoni are accused of having attempted to cause the death of one of the UPND members, Mshauka, aged 47 at the time. So when this incident happened, in the picture there, that is Mr. Davis Chama, who was immediate former defense minister. So by then he was the Secretary General of the PF, and they had gone to campaign during a by-election, and information emerged that him, as well as Mr. Nyoni, who was his driver, attempted to murder Mr. Mshauka. So when this issue came to the public domain, there was allegation and counter-allegation. Then later on, this case died a natural death. But unfortunately, when under the new administration, this issue has surfaced, and the duo have been arrested. The driver to Mr. Chama had gone to Ethiopia, where he was a diplomat as a driver. But when he came back last week, he was arrested and charged with this case, which is not non-bearable, meaning they have to be in prison for as long as the case takes, for as long as the case goes to court, and see if they're going to be punished for the offense which allegedly they deny.
We'll certainly be looking forward to see how that story develops. Now, your last story is a sports news story, and I know you're a happy man because Fashion Sakala scored a hat-trick as Chipolopolo beat Mauritania 4-0 in the World Cup qualifiers. Tell us about it.
Well, this is one of the sports stories that are coming even almost when most Zambians are saying it was a dead rubber. It has got nothing to do with us going to the 2022 World Cup. However, on Saturday, Zambia came out 4-0 victors against Mauritania. Patson Data scored 1 goal. Fashion Sakala scored a hat-trick. Or as we speak now, the team has traveled to Tunis for their last match of this group. So the permutations are that if Zambia has to qualify to the next group, they must beat Tunisia by at least 4-0 and hope that Mauritania can beat Equatorial Guinea, because Equatorial Guinea and Tunisia are both on 10 points. Zambia is on 7 points. So that is the permutation if Zambia is going to progress to the next round. However, it is a tall order, considering that Tunisia beat Zambia 2-0 in Lusaka. So anything, anywhere in football, they say anything can happen, but a number of Zambians are not expecting anything better than maybe a lose or a draw from this match. But we never know. The game of football is 90 minutes, as you can see on the table there. Thank you very much.
Hey, come on, Zambia. You have to have more faith in the boys than the British do, at least. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news from Zambia.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much. Do have a blessed week. Thank you.
We certainly hope to have a blessed week. Next up, let's have a look at today's weather forecast.
Journalists from Botswana, Ghana, and Kenya, South Africa are attending the Sanlam Summer School for Financial Journalists in 2021. One of our very own is also in attendance, and on the video, Paul Frey, who is the Managing Director of the Pan-African Media Training Organization, Frey Intermedia, gave an overview of the African Continental Free Trade at the 2021 Sanlam Summer School for Journalists, which is being held in Hartbeespoort in South Africa. Additionally, Brenda Karubo, a multimedia broadcast journalist from Kenya, also shares on what she learns from this event thus far.
The Sanlam Summer School for Financial Journalists is currently taking place in South Africa, where journalists are being trained, enabling them to highlight relevant economic issues in the public interest and help reinforce good corporate governance. Namibia Media Holdings' very own Micheline Navatises is currently also participating in the summer school, along with journalists from Botswana, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. One of the first sessions tackled was on the African Continental Free Trade Area and the immense impact COVID-19 has had on trade.
Suddenly you're seeing shortages in things that you would never expect, car parts, computer parts, etc. All of that is a global financial story. It's an economic story because it has huge impact on the economy. Around the world, the economies are trying to get out of a COVID-induced unemployment crisis and to re-energize growth. All of those are stories for financial journalists. And so when you look at what financial journalism do, today it's just so broad. It's about financial markets, right? I mean, what's happening on financial markets, not just here in South Africa, but also markets in Wall Street, in the UK, etc. What is the impact on us? It's about macroeconomic data, it's about macroeconomic trends, right? But also local trends. It's about government's policy, government's economic policy, how government spends in order to stimulate growth. how government spends in order to get the economy moving, the decision that government takes. I mean, there's a big debate now about whether or not we replace the 350 grant, the COVID grant, with something else for organizations. That sounds like a social story, but actually it's an economic story, because it also speaks to the ability of people to spend within the economy, within the market. And so all of these things that you've thought of from a socio-economic, from a socio-political point of view, also have huge economic implications. And so you can begin to start thinking about it, right? What would I do as a financial journalist? What kind of story would I write? And the really nice thing about financial journalism is that it's much, much more than just kind of short, hard news stories. You can do hard news stories, you can do features, you can do a lot of financial journalism is news analysis. What does it mean? Why do I care? What is the so what? It can be investigative journalism. It can be explanatory journalism. There's a really good APR program called Marketplace that specializes in explanatory journalism around the economy. You can download the podcast every morning, and really what they do is they explain the market for people. They explain the economy. They explain finance for people. So really, when we think about financial journalism, it's much, much more than simply reporting on company reports, on the currency fluctuations, on the budget, on the midterm budget, etc. It has incredible opportunities for human interest stories, for impact stories. You can look at companies, you can look at markets, you can look at personal finance. The range is really, really broad.
My name is Brenda Kerubo. I am a business broadcast journalist with Standard Group. I focus on telling stories from the television platform, the newspaper section, and also the digital platform. I also do radio and podcast. So I am quite honored to be here and attend the Sanlam Financial School. I've learned so much so far in relation to this specific course. Today is the first day, and I must say that we did focus on the African Continental Free Trade Area, which was an agreement that was signed earlier this year on January 4th. So we basically talked about the objectives of the agreement, so in relation to how African economies can benefit from that. We also specifically focused on a comparison with the European Union, just how successful is it, and what are some of the lessons that African countries can learn from this developed trade agreement. So we did highlight the fact that trade among African countries is quite minimal compared to other countries in the developed world. So what can be done to improve this? So the African Continental Free Trade Area promises, among other things, to decrease non-tariff barriers as well as tariff barriers. So this will help, of course, especially in making it easier for economies in Africa to export their commodities and services. There has been a challenge in relation to that. And also it will open up to creating more harmonized sort of opportunities and solutions. So what you see in one specific countries will be replicated, especially when it comes to trade laws. There are quite a number of issues that are yet to be aligned in relation to the rules of origin, as well as intellectual property and also competition, especially in line with services. So we are now in the phase 1 of the agreement, and just getting excerpts and getting professional commentary from some of the panelists that we had here indicates that we are on the right path, but we still need to gear up for solutions and more practical lessons that can be used in ensuring that this trade agreement is up and running. So it's quite a very, very strong platform when it comes to getting more knowledge. And I've also enjoyed interacting with various other representatives from other countries. I've learned quite a lot, especially when it comes to economies in the Southern African region, what they buy, what they export, and the languages as well. I hopefully at the end of this course I will be able to at least say or talk in a sentence, especially in different languages from representatives on the continent. So it is quite insightful, and I'm looking forward to even learning more even as the days go by. So yeah, thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to get straight into your economic news stories. And we start off in Botswana as firms more upbeat as economy warms up. Local firms are feeling significantly more optimistic about the trading environment in the third quarter of the year and into the next 12 months, backed by the lifting of the state of emergency and its associated restrictions, Business Week has learned. The latest edition of the Bank of Botswana biannual business expectations survey released this week indicates that local firms are more upbeat about economic activity in the third quarter of the year compared to the second quarter when they were pessimistic. The survey samples businesses across 13 different sectors and gauges their perceptions about the prevailing state of the economy as well as expectations going forward.
Diaspora pumps in 4 billion maloti. Basotho in the diaspora are estimated to be remitting about 336 million maloti every month, about 4 billion baloti a year to their families in Lesotho. That is according to the latest report by the 2021 Finscope Consumer Survey. The survey said 60% of Basotho in the diaspora send money on a monthly basis to their families in Lesotho. The research was based on a representative household survey that provides information on the demand, access, use of and the behavior towards financial services by the adult population. In 2011, 52% remitted money through informal channels such as friends, family, or public transport. However, in 2021, there is a significant shift as remitting through informal channels only accounts for 19%. He attributed the decline in remitting through informal channels to the advent of mobile money and another non-bank facility like mobile networks and chain stores.
In our next story, mining tycoon races to build world's first ammonia-fueled cargo ship. Mining billionaire Andrew Forrest said he aims to create the world's first ammonia-powered ship before the end of next year, part of an ambitious plan to run all his company's fleet on a carbon-free version of the fuel. This is just the first, Forrest, chairman and founder of Fortescue Metals Group, said in an interview. We have about 100 ships on the water, and we'll be converting all our own ships over to green ammonia at the earliest possible opportunity well within this decade. The announcement came on Transport Day of COP26, the ongoing climate summit being held in Glasgow. All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. You know what comes up next, economic indicators.
Have you received a loan from NASFAF? NASFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NASFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NASFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NASFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and #paybackthemoney.
Ari Hochad is our sports connoisseur, and he is ready to guide us through the weekend's results. Good morning, Ari. Take it away.
The sport is good. It's been a bubbly sporting weekend. Lots of, I think, bubbly that flow, especially for Australia. It's the Cricket World Cup. It was a T20 final that was played yesterday. I think there was lots of champagne pop. In Australia, their first ever T20 win. They won 50-over World Cup in the white ball cricket. So it was Australia and New Zealand that played in the final. There's the two captains. Kane Williamson on the right there, he played brilliantly in New Zealand, batted first. He made 85 from 48 balls, but that wasn't enough. New Zealand scored 172, a big score, but Australia chased it down with 7 balls to go. It was Australia that won by 8 wickets, thanks to David Warner, 53, and then a great innings from Mitchell Marsh, 77 from 50 balls. He just hit his first ball, he faced for 6. So that was a great win for Australia, winning their first T20 title. But I think the true winners of this ICC T20 World Cup, for me, was Namibia, that did brilliant to go through to the Super 12 station side after World Cup, and also held their own against the big names. So well done to Namibia. But congratulations, Australia, winners of the T20 World Cup. On to some football news. It was world qualifying. Football all over the globe yesterday. The big game for Southern African interest was Bafana Bafana that played yesterday, late last night, against Ghana away in Ghana. And unfortunately, a tough loss for South Africa. For Bafana Bafana, they lose 1-0. A close game. It was a very controversial, questionable penalty that Ghana scored to go 1-0 up. That meant that they were actually they ended with the same points. Even on goal differences, it was the same. And it had to go down to goals scored in all the games they played, and it was the Ghana that scored 7 and South Africa 6. So Ghana go through to the next stage of the qualifying Bafana Bafana out of the Qatar 2022 World Cup. Some other results from around the globe, maybe to mention quickly. Serbia went through to the finals. They beat Portugal, a big surprise there. They beat Portugal at home by 2-1. And then also Spain beat Sweden by 1-0. They went through. Germany, a big win for them against Armenia, 4-1. And Croatia beat Russia by 1-0. So that's some of the football results. On to Formula One racing. It was a very, very exciting Formula One race yesterday in Mexico, one of the best ones, I think, that I can remember. It was Lewis Hamilton started at 10th on the grid. He came through with 12 laps to go past Max Verstappen. So it was Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton that won. A brilliant race for Mercedes to win. Max Verstappen came in second in his Honda-driven Red Bull. And so he's very close at the moment. There's also lots of challenges and bitterness between the two teams. So there's 3 races to go. It's all to race for, just 14 points in it. So Max Verstappen leads by 14 points, 332 points. Max Verstappen 318. So the next race will be 19 November, 2 weeks' time. It will be in Qatar. So all to race for between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. On to some rugby news. There was some rugby played in Europe, also in Stellenbosch, where Namibia had a great win against Kenya. They 68 points to 24. Great win for Namibia. They play again this coming Saturday. But the news from Europe was that South Africa played against Scotland. A tough game for them in the first half, but they came through. Great tries by Mapimpi there with the ball in hand. He scored a brace of tries, and South Africa beat Scotland by 30 points to 15. And next game for South Africa is this coming Saturday. Big game for them. They play against England. And England, right on song, they beat Australia by 32 points to 15. So a big game coming up at Twickenham this Saturday for the Springboks against England. Other big game was Ireland, that was too strong for the New Zealand All Blacks. And that was Ireland scoring a try there. A great win for them. They've beaten them 3 times in the last 3 years. And so Ireland did well, 29 points to 20, the final score there. Ireland beat the All Blacks. And then Argentina beat Italy by 37 points to 16. And France beat Georgia by 41 points to 15. And the next game for the All Blacks, also a mouth-watering game, will be in Paris this coming Saturday. It's the All Blacks play France. So 2 big games, Springboks, England, All Blacks, France, this coming Saturday. And let's close with some tennis news. It's the best players in the world, the top 8 men's players and the top 8 ladies, women's players that's playing at the moment in the finals. It's the ATP, it's the men's finals. That started yesterday. First two games, Alexander Zverev, he went through. He beat Matteo Berrettini of Italy, but Berrettini had to retire because of injury, unfortunately. And the other game was the second seed, Daniel Medvedev beat Hubert Hurkacz by in 3 sets. That is Gabin Muguruza. She is from Spain. She's got a chance to go through to the semi-final today in the WTA women's section. They started a bit earlier. So one semi-final already completed. That was yesterday. That was Anett Konstave of Estonia. She was the 8th seed, but she played brilliant tennis in the round robins, and she beat Caroline Pliskova by Czech by 6-4, 6-love. So that's all the tennis news, and that's the sports news. I hope you have a great week, and hope it was a great sporting week. We talk again on Friday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Ari. We're certainly looking forward to our next chat. After the break, your headlines.
Season 1 of the Hunters Chill Session is coming to a close. To celebrate, Hunters and the Namibian Sun will be having an exclusive invite-only event at Access Lounge on the 23rd of November. You can be part of this. Stand a chance to win exclusive double tickets for you and a friend to attend the Hunters Chill finale. WhatsApp a picture of you and your friend chilling with your favorite Hunters to 084 000 9820. Hunters, refreshes like nothing on earth. Not for persons under the age of 18. T's and C's apply.
Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not, here are some of the headlines. UN climate agreement clinched after late drama over coal. Sudan, 5 more killed in anti-coup protests. Joint Mozambican and Rwandan forces kill 9 terrorists. COVID-19 deaths across the African continent exceed the 220,000 mark. Firms more upbeat as economy warms up in Botswana. And in sport, the final of the ICC T20 World Cup was played yesterday in Dubai. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on the Monday edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2cents@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, please post your comments on Facebook and Twitter. Please get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings.
All right, until tomorrow, Suraj Kanaka.